my Dovakins, long time not making a video, but I wanted to make this something special. Like I wanted to talk about art styles. You're gonna see on the background is speed paints of stuff I made in the last 1 or 2 days. But if you don't want to hear my voice because it annoys you, you can mute the video and put your music or something. Also, if you want to see the raw footage, to say something like not the speed up version, you can pledge $5 to my Patreon. Because yeah, I have a Patreon. I'm gonna leave it in the description. If you want to support me, you can support me from just $1.50 a month, and it really means a lot for me, and you're gonna appear at the end of this video with my patrons. So yeah, today's video is about art styles. What is an art style? It's basically the signature of an artist, but like it's not an actual signature. It's like a way you can identify an artist's work. Like it can be the way they draw water, or the way they put they paint, or the way they use color or composition, or maybe the way they simplify or stylize some stuff. Maybe their style is making gestures pop up extremely good, or maybe it's the way they draw backgrounds and stuff. It's never the same. Like even if it's the same artist, like you're gonna see that their art style changes over time, or maybe they have multiple art styles that they use, but they are never the same. They aren't static. Like if you see my artwork, for example, I used to draw very Disney kind of style 2 or 3 years ago, but now I draw more illustration. Like I have a more Steven Universe-ish style that is cute and more colorful. I have another style that is more textured and cute, more like traditional, but it's digital. Like I don't know how to explain. And something I wanted to address also is art style theft a thing? Like can you steal the art style from another artist? Can someone sue you for using a similar art style, for getting inspired by your art style? And the answer is no, no, and no. Art style is not a real thing. It's because, as I said previously on the definition or the explanation of what an art style is, art styles are always changing. Like a really good example of these art style thefts I've seen, like I put in quotes, art style theft in quotes, but the thing is that there isn't an actual art style theft. So I remember back in the day when there was an animator, and I still follow them around on YouTube, that was Lopez Volpes, and they used a specific art style that, as their fame grew, more children and beginners started using that style, and that was very popular on the day. But it was not theft or anything else. It was like inspiration. Like imagine you being a kid. Like back in the day, I used to copy a lot of anime in their style, or very previously I started drawing like remember in Nickelodeon when like I don't know, this guy from the Fairly Odd Parents showed up and told you how to draw Timmy Turner. I started following those to draw Timmy Turner or something. It's kind of like that. You're as a kid, or I was like 8 years old, and when I stopped heavily getting inspired by other art styles, it was when I had like 15, and I still get heavily inspired by other artists. It's just now that it's not that noticeable because I have some experience that mark the way I draw certain things, and they will change as I gain more experience. Art style, you cannot sue someone or report someone because they are stealing your style. It's just the same thing as stealing color palettes. Palettes cannot be stolen, cannot be copyrighted, a combination of colors. But hear me, it can be copyrighted if it's implemented into a design. Like if you made a logo with certain color palette and someone uses the exact same color palette in the same exact arrangement and the logos are way too similar, it can be an issue. But the colors themselves, like the combination of the colors, like let's say I use brown and tan and white for a character, I cannot sue someone that has a character with the same colors unless it's really similar. Like overall, art styles, palettes, and that kind of stuff is very general stuff. You cannot copyright very general stuff. Like you cannot copyright the concept, like for example Castlevania. You cannot copyright the concept of a vampire killer that goes in to kill Dracula. You cannot, it's a very general idea that you cannot copyright. But what does Castlevania own? Castlevania like owns all the lore, the specific lore, that you go into the castle and you do certain mechanics on the games and stuff. It's the same as art style. It's the same like Elder Scrolls, like, which is my favorite game saga. Like you cannot go and copyright the idea of fantasy games with elven races and fantasy stuff. You cannot copyright that concept, but you can copyright very specific things of each culture, like the Dragonians on the lore. That's a thing I love, that they are inspired by Aztecs, but you cannot copyright the concept of an Aztec-inspired culture, but you can copyright the specific thing that Argonians or Aztecs have these trees that are rehearsed and do certain things on their culture. Basically the same with art style. Sorry if I got a bit off the rail, but yeah, you cannot copyright an art style. But it upsets me because I work hard on my, everyone works hard on the work, even the kids who get heavily inspired by someone else's art style, unless they are tracing and specifically copying exact pieces of your work and basically or reposting your work, it's not really a theft. There's no theft. It's like I want to be like, let's say, to be like Masashi Kishimoto, and then I'm gonna go over the Naruto mangas and I want to draw exactly the hand at like Masashi Kishimoto and want to do a manga. But while the style is unique, if a kid wants to get inspired by that style and makes a very similar style, there's nothing you can do at all, especially if the story they are making is completely different to Naruto and stuff. So yeah, that's what I want to get to. Most of those people who still, quote unquote, are kids who are not even 15 years old, or are even less, like 12, 8 or less years old. Like they get heavily inspired, because we used to get inspired by cartoons when we were kids, but these kids are not exactly growing up with cartoons, but are growing up in the internet when they see artists they like. And that's the thing I wanted to get into. And another thing that I wanted to explain is that I haven't been asked this specifically, but the question many people get asked is how to develop your own style. And there's no recipe or there's no magic there's not magic formula to develop and get like instantly your own style. An art style is the way you draw certain things, and your art style you get from drawing. You get to practice, to do anatomy studies. Basically you get that style because like I practice a lot of anatomy and gesture and human figure, and I learned that the way you stylize things, like you get your art style from practicing, seeing real life, decomposing things to its basics, learning the basics and foundations of art. Like you don't need to draw hyperrealism, but have a basic notion of the basics of art. And when you do that, when you reaffirm your basics, and when you practice and when you draw daily, I recommend drawing at least 20 minutes a day. When you do that kind of stuff, it pops up on its own. Like it's something that you don't need to search for it, but it comes to you while you practice. Like to say something, you discover that you can this way you practice a lot of perspective and composition. But when you practice daily and like you are like several weeks into that practice of, I don't know, composition, and you discover, oh, I got that this kind of composition or this way of making certain compositions, it's easier for me to do, and it gives out great results. But I know my foundations. It's not the same as oh, I like big eyes and I'm gonna draw anime because I like big eyes and that's my style. No, you need to learn anatomy of the face, and it comes to you like the easiest way that is for you to draw and decompose that face. That is your style because it comes alone. It does not need to be searched for. It's alone. And if you really want to search for a style and do it faster and accelerate that process, there are two ways of doing so. One is mood boards and getting inspiration from your favorite artist. You go on Twitter or you go on DeviantArt and you go into your favorite artist and say, oh, I like this artist. This art is great. You download the art and open it and search what is it that you like from that artwork that made you say, this is one of my favorite artists. It may be the use of color palettes, of the composition, of the shade or the shading, or the use of textures. Anything, can be anything. The way they use strokes, brush strokes, it can be anything like that. And you decompose that and try to replicate, not the piece, you don't replicate the piece, but try to implement the use of textures or use of brush strokes, of shading or composition or anything that they use. Like if you really like that striking palettes, see how it's made, how that color palette on the piece is made, and you try to replicate that kind of color palettes in your own work. And the second point, like the second thing that makes you accelerate that process of finding a style is getting into art classes or art college or some sort of private classes or something. If you have the money or you have the facility to go, it's near you or it's cheap and you can afford it, or you're rich and you can afford it, go to art classes. I personally haven't got the opportunity to go to any art classes on my life, but I've seen that people get really better from that because they are helped by an expert to find their own style. Like they help you focus and have a schedule on stuff that you need to do. But if not, it's the same. Try to practice daily. Like if you don't have the resources or money to go to art college or art classes, the best you can do is practice yourself, and you need to put yourself more schedules. Important is it, should I get my own style? Is it that important to get your style? Or, oh, I haven't found my style, I am a bad artist. And no, you don't need your own style. In fact, if you want to work in the industry as an illustrator, as a concept artist, or as an animator, you need to be very versatile on what you can do, because you need to be versatile so you can fit into the project you are assigned to. Like, you cannot draw with your own style if you are assigned to, like, let's say Steven Universe. You cannot draw in anime style. You need to comply with a set of model sheets that you are assigned to. You need to draw in that style. So yeah, it's not really important. It's more important to get the basics of art, basically. But yeah, that's my advice and my personal experience with art styles and my personal opinions. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful in some way. I'm sorry if I kind of stutter a bit. I'm not used to talking out loud. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to give a shout out to my patrons, who are Roya Oxide, who has been 6 months since she's pledging to my Patreon from the $5 tier, and the other one is Destiny. I'm giving them a shout out because they are amazing persons, and I really appreciate that you like in my work enough to support me. Stay tuned on my Twitter and DeviantArt that I'm going to leave on the description, since I'll be doing polls and asking for recommendations for following videos. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye.